I'll tell you, the biggest successes we have had have been the simplest and most obvious idea. So what we do when we come into companies is we just start. We have a very unusual pitch. We come into companies and we say, look, we know nothing about business, and in particular, we know nothing about your business, okay? But we have a different way of thinking about the world. So if you will describe what you do to us, we can maybe help you. And so, I'll tell you, one of the biggest impacts we had was at a large insurer, and it was in the claims. I don't know what it's called, claims resolution, and we were just curious because we just asked, can we do a little experiment? And we said, can you give us a claim, a pretty straightforward claim that has a value of $100,000? Okay, and the leaders of this department came up with a real claim that they all agreed was worth $100,000. And then we just went out to the adjusters, the claims adjusters, and we said, how much is this claim worth? Okay, and we asked them, what do you think the variance will be? And they thought that the standard deviation around that would be $5,000. That like, two-thirds of the people would say between $95,000 and $105,000. It turned out that two-thirds of the people put it between $50,000 and $150,000. Okay, and they were shocked that people could look at the same claim, whose jobs it was to evaluate the claims, and then give such different numbers. Okay, and it really matters, obviously, because in a situation where you're litigating, if you say a number way too low, right, they were paying out, then of course you're going to go to litigation because the other side's going to think your number's way too low. They're going to fight you, and that costs a ton. Or if you say a number that's way too high, then you just way overpay the true value of the claim. And interestingly, this firm, despite being a very old guard firm, most of the time I find it's hard to make changes the longer you've been around. They were so shocked by the number, they said, what would you do? And our answer was the simplest thing in the world. We said, well, look, we just think that if you had a process where the claims adjusters, instead of just reading a claim and coming up with a number, actually just had a little checklist, okay, where you walk through, okay, and they had to evaluate on a set of dimensions how this one fit in relative to other claims it handled. And then we just gave them a range of given what they checked off from this thing, what typically the settlement had been, okay? And it turned out that little thing, which was super easy to implement, really totally obvious, there was nothing rocket science about it, there wasn't really any big data piece to it, ended up shrinking down the noise around their estimates by about 45 or 50%. And by the firm's own calculation, the present discounted value of that change was over $1 billion. And so really, what's amazing, now it helps to have the huge scale of being one of the biggest insurers in the world, but really simple things can end up having amazing impacts on outcomes. I'm going low on time. I want to tell you one last